So now we're going to move on to the actual fender flare on the back. You'll notice at the front you do have a bit of play, so I chose to start on the back side of the vehicle, and I actually used the factory bolts that are in the rear of the fender. So I drilled holes inside the fender flare to use the factory mounting holes, so that's a good place to start. And I'm gonna, much like the front flares, I'm gonna start from the back and I'm gonna work my way to the front and finish off getting the front part situated where I want so it lines up with the door. And obviously, as you can see, it does help tremendously if you remove the wheel, as you usually can't get a drill inside there with the wheel attached. So now inside the fender, what I did after mounting the factory bolts is I tried to find a spot that's really close to the body, and that's a spot right there, almost dead center up top, because you don't want to have too much of a gap between the body and the flare, otherwise you might crack the fiberglass or you might have to shim it up. So it's always easy to find a spot that's already very, very close, and you start putting screws in. Again, a number 10 self-tapping screw. So one problem that I did run into on the inner door part of the fender flare, as you can see right there, and you can hear it, as you're trying to put it into place, the fiberglass is rubbing against the body. Not a big deal, you just take some sandpaper, sand it down. I prefer to do it by hand because if you do it with power tools you may take off too much and then it may not look even. So just a little bit of light sanding is expected. Fiberglass isn't always precise, but a little bit of sanding will get you right where you want to be. Okay, so as I said before, I start from the back and I work my way forward. So as you can see, every step of the way is that I look for some good contact between the flare and the metal. I always try to find areas that are already close, so I'm not pinching anything and gonna break the fiberglass. And as I do it, I also try to keep good pressure and push it in as I drill the holes. I do pre-drill holes. I use an 1/8 inch drill bit, and then I use the number 10 self-tapping screws. Again, I don't want to crack the fiberglass, but once you get everything in place, it'll basically end up looking like that. I do have to wash the truck. This is just a test fit installation. I am going to take it apart, paint it and all that stuff, but everything lines up real good. The door, you always want to test the door as you're going. As I put each screw in for the door jamb, I would always push it in a little bit, open and close the door. If there was no contact, then I would drill the hole. And I actually ended up using 120 grit emery cloth by hand just to sand down the imperfections that I noted before. And you can sand them down to your desired level till everything fits the way you want it to. And door opens, door closes, nothing makes contact. As you can see, it's a pretty nice fit. So basically that's what it's going to look like on your Blazer. And the good part about these flares also is most people know you have the rear quarter panel rust that usually happens around the wheel well. This can hide it. This truck does have a noticeable rust spot back there. Obviously you can't see it. I will be doing body work later on because I don't want it to spread, but for the meantime it does clean up the look quite a bit. And also of note, you want to do this install in room temperature weather. The warmer the better. Cold and fiberglass don't really mix. It doesn't make it pliable enough. You do have to bend it a little bit here and there to get it to go in place where you want it to go, and the warmer it is, the better. You can use a heat gun to heat it up. Just be extremely careful. If it doesn't want to bend, don't force it because it might crack.